Hello, everybody. Good day. Hope you're well. It is, I was going to say it's really, really cold, but this room is very warm. So I'm like in a t-shirt, I'm a bit sweaty, which is crazy because it's been freezing. It's been freezing, freezing cold. I shouldn't complain because it's quite Christmassy, isn't it? I hope you're all well. I mean, first, I suppose the first main question is, have you put your decorations up yet? Have you put your Christmas decorations up? I haven't. We're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to have a big old Christmas decoration morning, which is going to be great. I think it's one of my favourite days is the decoration day. Although you probably wouldn't be able to tell with the background. This is my office space. It's supposed to be a shared office space between me and my partner, but it is just essentially a stock room for all of the stuff that I make. So apologies because it's an absolute mess. It's so messy, but you know, we're all so busy. So today we're going to make like a little kind of card, I suppose. I don't know if you dropped into my session that was a few weeks back, which was sort of like, in fact, I have it here. There it is. We did like some kind of interchanging faces that was like this. And it was made with these sort of little rectangles. And I was teaching this in real life. And I started doing a sort of animal version. And I realised it'd make a really cute kind of Christmas card, and also sort of a bit interactive. It's things we can move about. Really great for kids. It would make a great Christmas card for kids. Kids can get involved as well, or you could just send them as cute little cards. They're really easy to make. You don't need many materials. They're a little bit of fun. They don't have to be for Christmas. They can be for anything, to be honest with you. But we're going to sort of make these, they're like little animals in little beds. Now, we're not going to do a full sort of run. I think what we're going to do is like a kind of double spread. And they're going to be in their little beds. And then we're going to sort of incorporate, I've done sort of it on the back here. This is like not a very good example. But can you see like the little envelope? And I was thinking it could have like a little note in it. So it's like an interactive card that you have to pull things out of. And we're going to do some little tricks. Really, really easy. So we're going to start with some, sorry, lots of wobbles. We're going to start with, I've got 2 pieces of A4 paper here. It's not thin paper, but it's not card. It's sort of in between. If you did this with like standard paper, like a kind of printing paper, then it's probably not going to stand up. But also like I think card is a little bit too thick to work with, so you want something in between. I won't go into too many details with the GSM numbers and all that sort of thing. You can use whatever you want, really. You could probably use scrap materials if you wanted. I know before we've used sort of cereal boxes and things like that. You could use that sort of thing. You don't need to go and get any special paper. You just want a bit of thickness to it so that you can sort of stand it up and it sort of stands up on its own. Now I've got 2 pieces, but I think we're only going to need 1. So if you only have one piece of A4 paper / card, then it should be enough to work it out. I think it's enough to do, unless of course you're going to make loads, in which case you'll need multiple bits of paper. I'm hoping what you're all thinking is once I've had a go at this with Rosie, I can make the 50 that I need to make as Christmas cards for everyone. That's the idea, right? If we have time. So I'm going to start making it. As I'm making it, I'll tell you what I've got, but really all I'm working with is pencil crayons, oil pastels. I've got some marker pens here. You don't need to use any of these things if you don't want. I'm just using them as like the sort of easiest sort of options for colouring in and creating bright colours and bold sort of shapes. I really like oil pastels at the minute, big into them. I like mixing them together. I've used these before, so if you've done any of my sessions before, you'll see that I've used these neon oil pastels. I think a bit of neon like brings things to life a little bit, but you can use whatever you've got at home. If you've only got like a pack of pencil, crayons or whatever, that's absolutely fine. You just need to be able to draw animals. I'm not very good at drawing animals. They're very simple ones, don't worry. So I'm going to get my A4 piece of paper just here, and I'm going to fold it landscape. So I'm going to fold it in half like so that you've got 2 long pieces. And that's going to be the basis. I found that if you can fold an A4 piece of paper and then fold it into chunks, it's much easier than sort of working out different shapes. Where are my scissors? Here they are. So we've folded our A4 piece of paper landscape and we are going to cut it in half. Like so. So then we've got two nice long pieces of paper / card. And I'm going to move one to one side. We don't need that for now. I'm going to fold this now in half. And I'm going to be as neat as I can, just because this is going to be the basis for the whole card. And then I know the example doesn't look like this, but I'm going to then cut this in half because we're going to make a sort of smaller version, a contained version. This was me just having a go at all the different animals. You can see I gave up on the last one here. I did actually draw a snake. I thought maybe I've got a snake in it. And then I was like, no, that doesn't work. I can't have a cat, a dog, a cute little cat, doggy and owl, and then pop a snake in there. That's weird. So I've just left that one blank. So I'm going to cut this in half. So now we've got our 2 quarters, and then we're going to fold one of these in half again. In fact, we're going to fold both of them in half again, and they're going to sort of create our sort of card shape, and that's going to be our sort of template as well for everything else. So now we've got a tiny little, it's not A6, isn't it? Is it A7? I think it would be an A7 card. Very, very teeny tiny. And that will be our card. And now we can decide where we put everything and we're probably going to use all of the sides in different ways. But now I'm going to fold this one in half. And then I'm going to cut this one so that I've got 2 tiny pieces. So we've got those 2 there, like so. And that means we can use these 2 for various different things. Now, don't forget, we've also got this piece as well. So in a second, we're going to fold that up into quarters as well. Because essentially what we're going to do is we're using this size as our template for the animals, their little beds, and then even the little envelope as well. So we know if we cut everything into this size, we know all of it's going to fit onto the card. That's why we're doing all the folding and the cutting. It's just so that it's a really easy template for everything to work around. So we've got our card. We've got 2 pieces here. So we need, if we're going to do 2 animals, so I think we'll do the cat and the dog because they're cute. We can make them Christmassy. Maybe we'll give them Christmas hats. So we've got the cat, the dog, and then we need the beds and the envelopes. So I'm going to fold these and cut these now as well, just so we've got all the bits of paper that we need. And it's just a really simple way of working it all out then, because we know everything's the right size. So that's another 4 quarters. So now we've used up the whole of the A4. And we'll see if we need all of it. I can't work it out. I'm not very good at maths. That's why I'm good at doodling. Okay, so we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we imagine animal, animal, bed, bed, envelope, envelope, fine, we're fine. We've got loads of space, loads of paper. So I think what we'll do first is we'll create some backgrounds onto our card. So you'll see here I've tried to do lots of contrasting colours. So to begin with, we can just go crazy with our colours and just fill the space with nice bright block colours. And we can use a multiple of materials, whatever you fancy. So let's start. I'll copy these guys here. So we'll start with, I've got these Sharpie marker pens. So they're called Sharpie Creative Markers. They're sort of like paint markers. You can use them on all sorts of different materials. They're fairly inexpensive. I think they're about £12 for a packet. They're really good. But you don't have to use these, you can use normal pens. The main reason I'm going to use these is because they're quite chunky, so it means I can colour in quite quickly, but you can take your time. One of the options here, especially for the style of it being quite cutesy and animals and stuff, I think watercolour would work really well. So if you're nifty with a paintbrush, then I think watercolour would be a great, make a great version of this. But I'm just going to go in, I'm going to get a couple of the sort of green colours, and I'm not going to be careful at all. But what I will do, apologies for the wobble, but I'm going to zoom in slightly with my camera so you can see what I'm doing a bit better. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to start with, I think the front is going to be the best for the first animal. And I'm just going to start colouring in. And again, this is why you're going to need probably something that's a bit thicker than sort of printing paper, especially if you're using big chunky pens. Now, that's not to say you couldn't do it with really thin paper. You just might not be able to get it to stand up, that's all. And I'm sort of, because I'm creating a bit of a background, I'm not doing one block colour. I want it to have sort of texture to it. And I'm being careful to draw along the line here because this is going to be a different colour altogether. There we go. And just wondering, I might put another green in there. I've got lots of different shades of green. You could obviously make this super festive if you wanted to. You could just choose really sort of festive colours. What you could do actually is if you have any like golds and silvers, if you have any shiny things, you could also add some glitter if you wanted. I'm not getting the glitter out today because, as you can see, already everywhere else is a mess. So we don't need to add glitter to it. Not to mine anyway. And I'm going to colour this all the way to the edges. Now, we're not going to see some of this, but I just think it's nice to sort of fill the whole space just so we don't need to worry about it. And then what I'll probably do is I'll move on to some oil pastels again, just to add some texture. So you can get really cheap oil pastels. These guys, I mean, you can get them for like a couple of pounds and they're all much of the same. You know, they all work in the same way. And then I'm just sort of going to go in with some of these oil pastels. Now, you could be really detailed with this if you wanted. You could add patterns to this. You could add an actual background. So if you were making it Christmassy, for example, you could add some fairy lights or some bunting and some other pictures. But I'm just going to do the simplest version because it is nearly Christmas now. None of us have much time to do anything. So I'm going to do a super simple version. But don't let that stop you. If you want to be really detailed with your backgrounds, then please do. And also, please show us. Please let us see your creations. I had a lovely lady send me a picture when I did my last session, which was like a cardboard head that you opened up and it had planets inside it and clouds and stars and stuff. And she sent me her version of it and it was so good. So I really, really love seeing your work. I'd love to see like how I've inspired you. So please do send us anything through. You can always comment on these videos. You can rewatch these back as well, but also message us and let us know. So I've just added some pattern and can you see it's just added a bit of texture. It's just a bit of something, you know, just a bit of something. So I'm just thinking about how I want to construct this. I'm going to put the cat on the front. I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we put cat on the front, we leave the back, we're going to colour it in, but we're not going to put anything on it. It's just going to be the back of the card. So we can have the little cat here, then we can have the dog here, and then we can have our envelope, which will have our little message inside it. So that's how I'm thinking we're going to construct this. So the next thing I'm going to do is the back, but I'm just going to be really quick and just colour it in. And I'm not going to think too much about it. You guys can, again, you can be as detailed as you want. But for the purposes of time, I'm just going to colour this in. But it's always the like little bits that you forget about that will just make it extra special. So if we remember to colour in the back, just gives it a bit of a professional edge, if you will. So I'm just going to fill that in with yellow. And you could always write your message on the back here. You could write, this could be where you write who it's to, like who it's from and all that sort of thing. You could write Merry Christmas on it. We'll see if we've got time, we can add something in there. But I quite like the idea of the message being something you have to take out, which is quite cute. So we've got our yellow background there. I'm not going to do anything else with that for now. So then we're going to do our inside. So again, we want like contrasting colours. So we've got a green here. Maybe we'll do a red because it's Christmassy. And again, I'm going to go in with the marker pen, and it's just like building up with different materials, just adds that extra, makes it extra special. I'm being very haphazard with my colouring in here. And I'm going to colour all of this. I don't think I have any. Oh, I do have an orange though. Maybe I'll put some orange in there. Just scribbling away. I'm going with the orange here. Lovely. So I wish I'd bought some gold pens now to add some sort of sparkliness to it. But if you have any, like gel pens are really good. I think gel pens are great, like the metallic ones, because they're super cheap and they're quite good for details. So if you have any gel pens, get them out. Okay, so we've got one background there. Again, I'm going to add a bit of texture with some oil pastels. So I've got a red oil pastel here. I'm going to do some like little spirals. If you really wanted to think about it, you could think about making the background more sort of like the actual environment the animal lives in, if you know what I mean. Like you could do like a landscape, you could do some trees and that sort of thing. But I just quite like scribbling and doodling. So my backgrounds will be scribbled and doodled. And again, let's add some neon in there just to brighten it up. And I want this to be something that can be done really quickly as well. That's the key, because Christmas is so overwhelming, isn't it? So we've got our red, we've got our green, and then maybe we'll do a blue. You could do, if I'd really thought about this, I haven't thought about this at all, have I? Because I was just thinking then, oh, if you did like a Christmassy one, you could do like a snowy scene. You could do penguins, you could do reindeers, you could do other Christmassy animals. What other Christmassy animals are there? Reindeers, penguins, elves, you could do elves. I like this blue because it's very, very vibrant. And then maybe we'll just go in with some, like I've got a purple here. I just want them to be really like contrasting so they really stand out. So I'm going to go all the way to the edge with this purple here. Lovely. And then I'll just go in at the end with this one. Sort of like a light, oh, I suppose it's quite green, but never mind. I'm going to go over the top with some oil pastels again as well. So we've got our blues here. Maybe we'll do some zigzags. And then this lovely dark blue as well. Now, if you have like, if you're an avid crafter and you do a lot of sort of mark making in general, you could always use paper that you've already got that's sort of covered in colour and pens, and then just fold that up and cut that up. Saves you doing the background if you have something like that. Just go in with this neon blue. Lovely. So now we've got our full card. Super easy. We've just coloured our backgrounds in. So now we're going to move on to the difficult bit, which is the animals. It doesn't have to be difficult though, because we're going to do it very, very simply. So I'm just going to move this to one side, and I'm going to get my little cat, and I'm going to get my little doggy, and then we're going to draw those and colour them in. So I've got a pencil here, just a normal pencil. And the great thing about this is because we've cut our pieces ready, we know that whatever we draw on there, once we cut it out, it will fit on here. So preparation is key. So we'll start with let's start with the doggy. I'm going to try and copy mine like for like. And what I would recommend is if you don't like drawing animals, or you know, it's something you're a bit worried about, just sort of Google, because I don't feel particularly confident drawing animals. So you can always look online and try and copy them. Nothing stopping you printing some stuff out as well if you wanted to. You could print a couple of animals out and then draw over the top of them. You could get tracing. You know, you don't have to draw your own if you don't want to, or you can make someone else do it. That's the other thing. If you've got kids, you'd like, please draw a dog on this bit of paper for me. But I'm just going to do really, really simple animals. And then this one's going to have like little patches on it. I don't know what sort of dog this is. I don't know what breed of dog this is. It can be like the breed of dog which I have, which is all of the breeds. I have a street dog that is, honestly, if you looked at my dog, Dobby, she looks like a fox, but she's quite obviously at least 10 different breeds of dog. I don't know what she is. So we've got our dog there, and now I'll draw the cat with pencil and then we'll colour them in. But as long as we've got our cutouts first. So cats, nice pointy ears. And you can see, like, I'm not being careful with the way I'm drawing it. I want it to look quite simplistic and cartoony. I think that's sort of part of the charm of it, to be honest. It's sort of like, it doesn't matter if it's a bit childlike, it's supposed to be fun. So please don't feel like you have to be the world's best animal portraiter. Is that a word, portraiter? Not sure. I am quite good at painting dogs though, because I do quite a lot of commit. Funny, I don't know why that's happened, but quite a few people have asked me to paint their dogs, and I got quite good at it. Not good at painting people though. Dogs I can do, people can't do. Okay, so there's our cat and our dog. Lovely, very simple. Hopefully you can see that, can't you? Lovely. And now I think I'm going to do a combination of pencils and oil pastels, and again it's just about adding layers to make a bit of texture. So let's get our pencil crayons. Let's start with our doggy. So, and also, by the way, you don't have to do the actual natural colours of the animals. You could go crazy, you could do a purple cat and a pink dog. Don't worry about that sort of thing at all. But I'm going to start by and again, I'm not being careful. I'm not trying to make it realistic. It's kind of this is what I'm sort of hoping for, is sort of like a kid's book kind of vibes, like a children's book that has like lift the flaps and pop-ups and that sort of thing. That's where the inspiration is for this. And I'm just going to go in again with the texture, just like lots of different colours. Scribbly, scribbly, scribbly. What's that? I thought that was a dark brown. Is that a dark brown? That's a dark brown. And if you have like animals yourself, you could try and copy what they look like. Although I have not copied what my dog looks like. She does not look like this. Critically, this dog that I'm drawing will not bark at the postman, unlike mine. We've got like a delivery driver, like your local delivery driver. There's one that you'll see quite often that always drops off at the same sort of time. And obviously I get like tons of deliveries because I'm always ordering art supplies and paper and stuff. And I remember once like opening the door to him and my dog was barking like crazy. And I was like, I'm so sorry, my dog just really barks at you. It must be horrible getting barked at all the time on your job. And he said something really interesting. He said, no, it makes perfect sense that your dog barks, because I knock on the door, your dog barks, and then I disappear. So as far as the dog's concerned, she's done her job properly. And I was like, that's so interesting. That makes so much sense. Like, of course. My dog's like, I made the postman go away. I'm going to do that again next time. So I guess she just thinks she's doing a great job at protecting our house. We're just like, please be quiet. So I've done a bit of scribbling there. I just need to make sure that we get a lovely pink tongue. I might use a pen. So I'm going to go in with a little pink tongue there. Now, don't worry about going over the edges because I'm going to go over it again. I'm going to add some texture. So I'm going to go in with some oil pastels now. So I'm just going to add bits in. And it doesn't matter if you go over the lines either, because we're going to cut it out. And I'm just sort of like building up. That's the great thing about oil pastels as well, is that they merge quite nicely together. Oh, I forgot to do her tail. Let's do her tail. I quite like this peachy colour as well. And again, as I said before, this would work really nicely with watercolour, I think. Be quite easy to do as well. You can buy really cheap watercolour sets that are sort of aimed at kids, and they are all fine. They all do the same sort of job. And the other reason it doesn't matter if you scribble on this is that I'm going to go over it with black anyway. I'm going to sort of outline it. So it sort of doesn't matter what happens really. Tail, I have to do her tail. Lovely. So we've sort of coloured that in. I've left those white splodges. I'm not going to colour those in. And then we can just go ahead and outline that. So I'm going to get a black oil pastel. You can see here I've used a black oil pastel to outline it. And again, oil pastels sort of, because they're big, it's quite hard to be detailed with them anyway. So it doesn't really matter, I don't think, if it's a little bit sort of jaggedy, simplistic. So I'm just going to go all the way around all of the lines that I drew with pencil, just so that it kind of stands out. Make sure we get a little tongue in there. Working my way round. Fantastic. I'm going to outline the little splodges too. Lovely. And then I'm going to finish with some eyelashes because I always like big eyelashes on any eye that I draw. Cute. Lovely jubbly. Make a nose a bit bigger. Great. So now we've got our lovely little doggy. I'm going to move on to the cat and then we can cut them out. So for the cat, I think I'm going to go straight in with the oil pastels, but I'm going to sort of might add some pink in there, you know. Thinking like a bit of pink in the cat would be nice. And always think about the colours as well in terms of like contrasting. So we've got our green, our red and our blue. So I want them to sort of be the opposite so they stand out. So if you're doing a pink cat, then maybe consider not putting the pink cat on a pink background, if you know what I mean. Lovely. I'm going to go in with this sort of like beigey colour, but then I am going to add some pink in there as well. Now, we did say Christmas hats, didn't we? I don't think I've given myself enough space. You can add Christmas cats. You can add Christmas cats. You can add Christmas hats to your animals if you remember. I just forgot. I got so excited drawing the animals. So I'm going to get these neon ones here. Oh yeah, that's nice. That stands out lovely. I just love neon colours. They're my favourite. And again, I'm just sort of like scribbling, but it's almost sort of adding detail to the animal as you're doing it. And then what I might do is like a pink pencil. It's going to sort of cut through the oil pastel, but you can do some sort of patterns. So if you do pencils first, you'll see the colour, but if you do pencils on top of like oil pastel, it's going to sort of like, I don't know if you can see those spirals, but they're kind of like cutting through the oil pastel, so that makes some nice sort of textured patterns. And I'm just going to, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in with the white oil pastel and just sort of almost using it to sort of smudge some of the colours together. There we go. Smushing it all together so the colours are all sort of blended a little bit. Fantastic. So now she's coloured in. I'm going to go around again with the black, do a nice outline. Do a little eyes. And then this one's going to have nice big whiskers as well. And the great thing about doing the oil pastel as well is because it's quite thick, it'll be quite easy to cut out. And then don't forget her tail. And then maybe do some little details here. Oh, eyelashes. Let's not forget the eyelashes. Lovely. I mean, she's got a bit of a wonky eye, but that's okay. Oh, wow. She's a very strange looking cat, isn't she? But I quite like it. I'm into it. So we have got our lovely cat and our dog. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut them out. And we can cut them out fully. And because we've done it on the right shaped piece of paper, we know that they'll fit nicely into our card. See if I can see where this is going. And make sure I don't cut out her body by accident. I can't see through her tail. There we go. I made this cat's head quite wide, didn't I? That's why I like experimenting with drawing things like this quite simply, and also with really like quite bold sort of materials like oil pastels, because it sort of like ends up being quite abstract without trying, and then you get sort of really unusual sort of shapes and images, which I quite like. There we go. Looks so much better once it's cut out as well, doesn't it? As soon as you cut it out, it sort of brings it to life. And then we're going to cut our doggy out. Again, see if I can see what I'm doing through the tail. Yeah, there we go. Also somehow bashing the camera as I go. Nearly done. Lovely. There we go. Fantastic. Really pleased with them. So now what we can do is we can give them little pouches to go in, which is the really fun bit, I think. So we need to decide now which ones we're going to put where. So do we start with the cat or the dog? So you can see the cat fits nicely there. And then if we open it up. So I'm thinking what we might do, because the contrast works better with the blue and the green. Yeah, so I think we're going to put the dog on top of the blue background, and then we're going to put the cat on top of the green background. So next thing we need is 2 more of our little segments that we put out earlier. And again, you know that the width is correct. So all you need to do is sort of either rip it or cut it into a shape along the bottom, and that will create it's sort of like sleeping area. Now, the other thing that you could do, which is what I will probably do just to make it a bit more secure, is I will actually turn it horizontally, and then I've got base then to make sort of little flaps to sort of stick it into place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip it across here. You could cut it, so you can see on this one I've got a ripped one here, and then I've got a cut one here. So for this one, sorry for the wobbles, I'm just going to sort of rip it like so. See where it sits. If we put our cat there, that looks about right, because you're not covering up too much of the animal. And then we're going to colour it in first, so that we've coloured the whole thing. And then we're almost going to sort of wrap it and stick it down. You'll see in a moment. So again, we want a contrasting colour. So we've got green and pink, so we need a different sort of colour. I want quite a light colour, I think. So I might just do some like white, maybe some like white and blue kind of situation. I'm going to go in with the white here, make it quite pale. And again, you can be very, very abstract with this. You don't have to be detailed, but if you want to, you can make it look like a proper bed or whatever you like, really. It can be very, very, very simple. Whatever you decide to do, it will look super effective, I think. Maybe go in with one of these sort of neon blues. Maybe just do some wiggly lines or something, you know. Whatever you do, it will look great. So that's fine. Happy with that. Making a mess. And then I'm going to take the cat away for a moment, just so it's not in the way. I'm going to hold it like so. And I'm going to fold it over the edges like this, so that we know that that's the right fit for that shape. And I'm going to take that away. Now, this is the fiddliest part, I think, of the whole craft, is putting these into place. So we kind of need to stick down the bottom a little bit, but what I think I'll probably do is just use a tiny bit of tape and sort of double side it almost, but teeny tiny. What I've got here is some, basically it's like masking tape. So masking tape is fine. Anything that's sort of like easy to use, easy to rip. And we're just going to get a couple of little bits here. So I'm going to stick it on the inside of the flap like this and like this. And then I'm going to get a teeny tiny bit. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get quite a long piece and I'm going to rip it in half. So it's very long and thin. And I'm going to sort of loop it up on itself. So it's a double-sided. If you've got double-sided tape, then that would work really well. And I'm going to sort of stick that here. The reason I'm making this thin is because I want the cat to be able to go in as far as it can. But it's going to make the bottom stick so that the cat doesn't fall out the bottom. So you can see I've got my flaps there, and then I've got the double-sided bit there. And then essentially, we're going to hold it into place and press. And then you should have a sort of basically stuck down bit. Oh, way up. Forgot the dog was in there. Dog's fallen out. So then we can stick that into place. You can do this more securely if you want. If you want to use PVA glue and like stick it all down really, really neatly, you can. But if you want a nice quick version, it's just throw a bit of tape at it. And then you should be able to pop your cat in like so. There she is. Perfect. Look at that. Adorable. Love it. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side with the dog. We're going to get one of our segments again, and we're going to do the same thing essentially, but this time what I might do is cut it. So what I'll do, hang on, fold it over, get it into the right place so that I know. I'm going to fold it first this time so that I can cut it in the right shape. So again, I'm wrapping it around, folding it down the edges. So we've got our flaps ready to stick down. And this time I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to cut both bits. And I'm going to do a sort of almost like the top of a heart, like this, because then it looks like a sort of wraparound blanket. That's kind of the look I'm going for. And so this is going to sit on the blue bit. So that's going to sit there. So I think I've overshot it a bit with the folding. Can you see this little gap here? So I'm just going to fold it in a little bit more, just so it fits nicely. You can just sort of keep checking. Yeah, still a little bit wide. And you can just keep folding it until it's sort of like the right width. Yeah, that's perfect. And if this bit's sticking out, you can just chop that bit off there with your scissors. And now we're going to make that into sort of like a bed. I think we're going to go, let's see what colours. We could go like maybe like a yellow and some, or maybe some oranges, maybe some nice bright oranges. So again, we're going to colour this in. Just going to use the oil pastels because it's the quickest and gives lots of nice texture. What else have we got? We've got this nice sort of like, I don't know what this is. Is it yellow or is it orange? Not sure. It's bright, that's the main thing. Lovely. And then all I'm going to do now is just get like a darker colour, maybe like this dark brown. And I'm just going to sort of draw an outline along here so that it looks like it's been wrapped up almost. There you go, easy peasy. And now we're going to do exactly the same thing with our tape. So we're going to get our 2 little bits. So again, I'm just ripping 2 little bits, and they're going to go, let's do them this way actually, like this and like this. Yeah. And then we're going to get a nice long thin bit. Now I sort of ripped mine in half before, so I've got this bit spare, and make it into a sort of double-sided situation. Now if you're using oil pastels, this will become a bit more hard to sort of stick because your fingers might be a bit oily. You see I'm like a bit fiddly, but once you've got those ready in place, you can then do the same thing. So we're going to pop it into the right place, and once we're happy with the placement, we can press right down, make sure that sticky tape's sticking properly, and then we can pop our little doggy in there. Going to make sure he sits, because you've got to just make sure it goes in front of the flaps that we've stuck down. Oh, and there he is. He fits absolutely perfectly. And then we're just going to make sure. So I'm a bit worried about this fold here, actually, about it being too far along and not being able to fold the card. So you might have to sort of press it into place. There we go. That works nicely. Now already we've got a really lovely card. It stands up really nicely. You've got the 2 interactive elements with the cat and the dog, but we need to add our message. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little envelope, which we're going to stick on here. So again, we're going to use one of these. Now I'm just thinking we might just stick this down. Yeah. So what we're going to do is, I think we'll fold this in half. So one piece will be our envelope, and then one piece can be our message. So we've got one of our segments that we've folded in half. It's already getting really grubby because I've got oil pastel fingers, but that's fine. And then we're going to make one of them into like a little envelope. So I've got one here, look, as you can see. So we're basically going to recreate that. So again, I'm just going to give it some texture with some colour. Sometimes just adding white to a bit of colour can be really helpful with the oil pastels. It just gives it a bit of something. You just want it to not be white, essentially. You just don't want blank paper. And then we'll do a nice red dot in the middle, like one of those, what are they called, like a wax seal. That's basically what that is. There's your wax seal, easy peasy. And then we do a triangle like that. That's for your envelope. Now you could leave it like that if you wanted. I think I might have done both sides on this one. So you can either, it depends. We could leave it like that quite easily, couldn't we? That's fine as it is. That's obviously an envelope. And then we can stick that on here. Now, it's ever so slightly wide because we've got quite a lot going on. So you might need to just trim bits just to make sure they fit, because it can get quite bulky. Great. And now with this one, I've not done the wraparound because, again, I don't want it to be too bulky. So what I might do is I might just do some double-sided tape again, maybe on like the bottom bit and then a little bit on the sides. But again, teeny tiny. You can be way, way more, what's the word? You can be way more neat with this bit. You don't have to be. I'm just like ripping bits of paper up, ripping tape up. You can really take your time with this. You can cut your tape rather than ripping it, unlike me. But I'm just doing this super quickly so you get the idea, but you don't have to do it this haphazardly. But it's the easiest way. If you have double-sided tape, a lot of this will be easier. But I used all my double-sided tape doing other crafts. So again, we're going to stick that all down, but because we've just used tape and we haven't just sort of stuck the whole thing down, there's like there's give there to be able to put something in it. So this cat keeps like flapping. What are you doing, cat? So we've got our cat in her little bed. We've got our doggy in the doggy's little bed. It stands up really nicely, and we've got our envelope. So the last thing we're going to do is do our little note. Now we've got this half a bit here that we just cut out, the other half of the envelope. I'm feeling like I want to sort of like not roll it up because that will be too bulky, but fold it. Let's see. Quite like the idea of it sort of being tucked in, but you can see it, you know. So because again this is going to be interactive, I'm going to sort of colour all of it in, I think is what I'm going to do. I'm going to colour both sides in. Now we want, again, let's think about contrasting colours. So we've got green and pink, we've got our blue and orange, and we've got red here. So maybe we make this sort of green. I'll do this a light bluey green colour. And I'm going to colour the whole thing in. Like so. Get all the edges. And I'm going to do the other side as well, because this is the bit they're going to pull out and have a look at. And I suppose at this point I should point out that if you want to be really smart, you could also do the back of the animals. So you could colour the backs in. So you would just sort of replicate the colours and the shapes, but you don't have to do the face. So that would be a very good option. Okay, let's colour that in. And then what I'm thinking is we sort of do maybe like a border or something. So what I'm doing is I've got myself a black fine liner, nothing fancy. You could use biro, whatever, just something you can write with essentially. And I'm going to do, let's see, I basically just want to make it look like a fancy sort of note. So I'm going to just do a really simple border around the edge of it. You could be really fancy with this. You could do loads of different stuff. You could also print stuff out, couldn't you? You could also print out, you know, like Christmas notes, things like that. Anything you like. But you're just making it a bit of something. Now, this is where you can write whatever you want. So you could write a whole letter to someone, whatever you fancy. But I'm just going to do a really simple Merry Christmas. I'm going to do it in sort of vaguely calligraphy writing. Don't know if you can see this, but I will show you in just a second. So we've got like our Merry Christmas there. And I might go in and just sort of make some of these bits a bit thicker so it stands out more. So what I'm doing now is called faux calligraphy. So in fact, I think my first ever session for the Virtual Village Hall was modern calligraphy. So I teach that quite a lot. I don't know if you can tell right now, I'm not being the neatest. But faux calligraphy essentially is where you do you write your fancy writing and then you add the thick bits in, which is sort of like one of the main elements of sort of calligraphy writing. And it's an opportunity to do calligraphy if you don't have a calligraphy pen, because you're just sort of adding the thick bits in as you go. So check that out if you're interested. Faux calligraphy is a thing. So we've got our Merry Christmas. I feel like I should add some stars. I mean, I don't have the time, but here we are. Always got to add some stars. You can do whatever. You can do whatever you want for your note. And then I'm going to then fold this. So I'm thinking, how do I want it to sit? I'm thinking that I want to fold it like this so it almost sticks out like that, maybe. I'm sort of like folding it up like that, because then what you can do is where did I just put my black pen? Where's it gone? I was going to say we could like add an open me sign, but I have lost my pen. Maybe I'll use a pencil. Let's find a darker pencil. Can anyone see my pen? How have I managed to do that? That's hilarious. Okay, so I'm just going to write. Oh, maybe I'll do the. Let's do the oil pastel. I could just write open, can't I? But if you don't lose your pen, you can write open me. It's probably fallen somewhere into the abyss of my office. I didn't throw it over my shoulder, did I? Very strange. Anyway, so we've sort of rolled it up almost, and then we can just sort of slot it into place like that. And then it's obvious that there's something in there now. It's like it makes it obviously interactive. Now, this sticky tape is like not great. So what I would say is be neater with your tape than I have been, and try and stick it down more than I have. I've just done it for sort of speed so you can see the construction of it. Also, like I said, there's nothing to stop you using glue or being just a bit neater with how you stick it down. However, now that we have constructed our piece, I think you'll agree we've made like the cutest little card ever, right? So it stands up nicely. Perfect. It's not going anywhere. We've got a lovely front with our little cat, which can be moved and taken out. And then we can open it up and we've got our little doggy. And then we've also got our envelope with our little open me Merry Christmas. You've also got space on the back to write a bigger note if you so wish. And I would say as well, if you're interested in doing more, there's nothing to stop you adding little notes and things that pop into places. Quite like the idea. I didn't have time, but I wanted to do like a bit of string with like maybe a key or something hanging off the animal that you could take off and use to open the envelope. Something like that. Use your imagination. But I just think like an interactive card that's super easy to make will just be the best thing. Best gift ever. So that's me done. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked watching me scribble animals with oil pastels. But they're just so much fun to make. Super easy. You don't have to be good at drawing animals, I promise. And thank you all so much for watching. I will be back again soon with one last Christmas craft before next year, which is a really fun one. So if you can make it. When is it? I've forgotten, but keep your eyes out because obviously there's loads of stuff going on. But I'll be back again in December with a Christmas craft, and have a fantastic weekend. If you haven't already, enjoy putting your decorations up. I certainly will. I've been Rosie. My business is Rosie and Ramona, and I'll see you soon.